You almost certainly remember the story of U.S. Airways Flight 1549, right? It's kind of lodged in our collective memory as this incredible modern-day miracle. But the real story, the one that got buried in the official investigation, well, that's a whole lot more complex. It's really a showdown between the seasoned intuition of a pilot and the cold, hard logic of a machine. This is the image we all saw. Just minutes after taking off from LaGuardia Airport, a flock of Canada geese flew right into the Airbus A320, completely disabling both engines. With basically no power, Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger made the unbelievable call to ditch the plane in the Hudson River. And somehow, every single person on board survived. It was, by any measure, the absolute best possible outcome to a complete catastrophe. And right here is where the story takes this fascinating, unexpected turn. Because while the entire world was celebrating a hero, investigators were plugging data into flight simulators, and those simulators were telling a very, very different story. A story that suggested the ditching, the very act that saved everyone, was actually an unnecessary and frankly reckless choice. So, as happens with any aviation incident, the National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, they launch a massive investigation. Their job isn't to celebrate miracles. Their job is to find the probable cause, to figure out exactly what went wrong so they can make sure it never, ever happens again. And their first look at the data, it was troubling, to say the least. The conflict was just so stark. On one hand, you have the computer simulations. Using all the flight data, they concluded the plane had enough altitude, enough glide speed, to make it back to LaGuardia or even divert to Teterboro Airport nearby. But that completely contradicted Captain Sullenberger's split-second gut decision that both of those options were impossible. Suddenly, the hero of the hour looked like he might have made a terrible, terrible mistake. To really get our heads around this huge discrepancy, we have to do what the investigators did. We have to go back to that cockpit and live through the whole thing, second by second, using the NTSB's own official data. That's it. That's all the time they had. From the moment the birds hit those engines to the moment the plane touched the water, the entire emergency played out in just 208 seconds. That's less than 3.5 minutes. Every single decision, every action, all of it was compressed into this unbelievably tiny window of time. And this timeline just shows how fast it all went down. At 15:27 and 10 seconds, the captain just calmly says, "Birds." Only 4 seconds later, both engines are failing. By 15:27:33, he's already on the radio declaring a mayday. And what's really incredible is that just 55 seconds after that bird streak, he has already sized up the entire situation and tells air traffic control they might end up in the Hudson. The speed is just staggering. This right here, this was the crucial moment. This was the judgment call. Before they're even running through all the checklists or trying to restart the engines, the pilot's experience, his intuition, had already processed the trajectory, the energy, the horrifying reality of their options. He wasn't just flying a plane. He was calculating the physics of their fall in real time, and the only answer that made sense was the river. Just 2 minutes after the birds hit, this calm, frankly chilling announcement goes out to the passengers. The decision was made. The course was set. This wasn't a choice between a good option and a bad one. It was a choice for the only option they had left. So the big question is, why did the computers get it so wrong? Why did all their simulations point to a safe landing at an airport when the human in the cockpit knew it was absolutely impossible? The answer comes down to one critical variable that the machines just completely ignored. Okay, this is the key. The computer pilots were programmed to react the exact microsecond the engines failed. There was no surprise, no shock, no "what on earth just happened" moment. They just immediately, instantly, turned back toward the airport. But that's not how people work. It's not how reality works. See, the pilots weren't just processing data points on a computer screen, they were living through a multi-sensory disaster. They saw the flock of geese, they heard the thumps, and felt the violent shudder as the engines died. They even smelled that horrible odor of burning birds coming through the vents. This rich, real-world information told them something the computer couldn't possibly know. This wasn't a glitch, it was a complete, catastrophic failure. And this explains how they figured it all out so fast. Experienced pilots use a mental shortcut called the gaze heuristic. Sully didn't need to run a bunch of complex physics equations in his head. He could literally just look at the runway at LaGuardia, and based on whether it looked like it was moving up or down in his windscreen, he could intuitively know they weren't going to make it. It's a skill, an instinct. honed over thousands and thousands of hours of flying. So, armed with this insight, Captain Sullenberger basically argued that the first simulations were just completely wrong. He insisted that they run them again, but this time with the human factor programmed in. This was going to be the moment of truth. And this was the magic number. After a lot of discussion, the NTSB agreed to add a 35-second delay right at the beginning of the simulation. This was to account for the time a real flight crew needs to recognize what happened, to process the disaster, and to start reacting. Just 35 seconds. The result? Oh, it was immediate and completely undeniable. In those initial simulations, with no delay, the virtual pilots landed safely every single time. But the moment you added that 35-second human factor, every single attempt to return to an airport ended in a catastrophic crash. I mean, this table just says it all. The difference between success and failure wasn't pilot skill, it was time. That 35-second delay proved that Sully's decision wasn't a mistake. It was the only decision that could have possibly saved 155 lives. The data finally agreed with the human.
So, in the end, the NTSB's final report was crystal clear. The cause of the accident was the bird strike. But, and this is the important part, they went on to specifically praise the flight crew's decision-making as a key factor in why everyone survived. The hero was, officially, a hero again.
But the story doesn't just end there. The investigation into Flight 1549 actually produced a ton of knowledge that has made flying safer for every single one of us. So what really changed? Well, for one, engines now have to pass much tougher bird ingestion tests. The checklists for what to do during a low-altitude engine failure, they were completely rewritten because the old ones were just way too long for a 208-second emergency. Pilot training for water landings was beefed up. Even stuff like where they store life vests and the pre-flight safety briefings were updated, all because of the lessons that were learned on the Hudson that day. So now, when we look at this incredible image, we see more than just a miracle. We see the result of decades of training, of sound judgment, and of unbelievable calm under the most intense pressure you can possibly imagine. It's really a powerful testament to human expertise. And all of this leaves us with a really profound question, one that gets more and more important every day in our world of AI and automation. When the unthinkable happens, when the checklists don't cover it, and the computers go silent, what do we trust to save us? The rigid procedure or the adaptable, intuitive person who's in control?